Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton and we are talking about soundtracks for the month of August. And we are going to talk about the soundtrack to a very interesting movie. And I'm sorry for all the glare, but this is the original Mylar cover. This is the Monkees film Head, released on December 1st, 1968. This is my original copy on the Cold Gems label. I'm going to show it to you guys. And it is got the shrink wrap and everything on it, which I've kept on there because these Mylar covers took a beating. This was the only theatrical film they ever did, and it was released as the band's sixth album. And it was the last album to feature all four members, including Peter Tork, before he left the band, which was shortly after this release. Now, there's only 6 full-length songs on the album. The Porpoise Song, Circle Sky, Can You Dig It, As We Go Along, Daddy's Song, and the long title, Do I Have to Do This All Over Again? Now, there's some bits of Ken Thorne's incidental music. Some of you may recognize Ken Thorne because I think he did some of the string stuff for the Beatles movie Help. So there's a tie-in right there. And there's a lot of soundtrack dialogue, bits and pieces of various things. Dialogue from the film, sound effects, all kinds of stuff. Who actually was put together by Jack Nicholson. Now, the album is credited as produced by the Monkees, but album coordinator Jack Nicholson. Now, this is before Jack Nicholson was Jack Nicholson. He wasn't really a household name, but he actually was one of the co-writers on the film. He teamed up with Bob Rafelson, who was the director. Bob Rafelson was one of the creators of the Monkees project. And so he had ties to all those guys and was involved. Now, the famous story is the guys went up into the desert, smoked a whole lot of pot, and wrote the script to the movie by just basically rambling into a tape recorder. And if you've ever seen the movie, it kind of makes sense. I think it's a great movie. It's really trippy, very different from the TV show. But the music itself holds up really well. Rolling Stone, if these things are to be believed, actually ranked the album number 25 in the 25 greatest soundtracks of all time. And we all know there's no love between the Monkees and Rolling Stone. So it's kind of interesting. Of course, the Porpoise Song, maybe their version of Strawberry Fields. It's such a wacky record. And those of you who know this can attest to it for what it is. Now let's talk about the artwork for just a second. This was sort of, the idea was that you would look at the cover here and you would see your own head reflected in it. So look. I know that's not going to work. But it was really problematic. This cover was tearing up a lot of the printing presses at the label, at the RCA label. Now mine's a little offset. I can see a little bit of it here. That's why I kept the shrink wrap on it, because you rarely see these in decent shape, and I actually ran across one for really a good price. But they did a later pressing. Rhino did one. They used foil paper on it, but it wasn't quite as reflective as this original. And then, of course, the CD reissue, if you've got it, is just a plain gray. There's no reflection at all in it, so not quite the same. But really, really wild soundtrack. Comment down below, what do you think about the Monkees' Head? I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's a great movie. It's a great soundtrack. So what do you think? Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. In the meantime, I'll see you all again tomorrow with another Daily Record.